Steve, good morning. Happy Monday.
Well, happy Monday to you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. There's a lot going on when we take a look at markets, not just here in the US, but also across the world as well. So let's start out by looking at Japan and the election results on Sunday. So we saw the yen rally, but we've been keeping a close eye on the FX market. So what do you make of what we saw this weekend?
One thing that you're going to understand with Japan moves at its own pace, just generally. They're in a land of their own, but a land that's completely connected. And historically, they've been very big savers. And what you're going to see with Japan over the long term is that they are getting squeezed by other Asian countries. I think the public doesn't realize how powerful that can be. But the flip side of that is that they've always been extremely consistent in their thought process. So I could see the yen easily trade it down to like 144, and I can also see the new normal of how everything is connected.
Yeah.
Especially with tariffs right now.
Yeah, and there is the August 1st tariff deadline that all of us are counting down to. It does seem as though the goalpost continues to move forward, but that is the nature of negotiation. But at the same time, another area we're paying attention to is the crypto market. We saw Bitcoin hit record highs earlier last week, and right now we are below the all-time highs. But a key piece of legislation was signed last week and signed on Trump's desk last Friday. So what do you make of what we're seeing across the crypto landscape?
Remember, the crypto asset and the alternatives, are now becoming a true asset class, in processing money globally.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing with the bigger banks are actually getting involved, And they walk at a very slow pace, but when they decide to move, they move back quick. All right, so they're there already. The big banks are there. And we're seeing it.
Yeah, and here at the New York Stock Exchange with Circle going public, Americans were introduced to the concept if they hadn't known what stable coins are. So that is a space we'll all continue to monitor, for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, I think it goes higher. I mean, you're going to see extreme volatility. When something's new, you're going to see the volatility. I think over the next 120 days that I've been saying this, there is no question, that these next 120 days are that critical for the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we're halfway through 2025, hard to believe, but we are counting down to the July Fed Reserve meeting. And while next week's Fed meeting may not draw as much attention to all of us as the rest of the meetings, well, what do you expect to hear from the FOMC and also Powell?
I will say this, Powell realizes that there's inflation, and the world realizes that there's inflation. And he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Yeah. But the saving grace to it is that the market is already anticipating it. I believe he will hold them steady, not do anything. It takes time for markets to get out of an inflation cycle. It can't happen in a quarter.
Yeah, and Americans are going to be paying attention to inflation, especially as when we go shopping, we notice the increase in prices from housing to what ends up in our shopping carts. But finally, I do want to get your take on earnings season. So far we've heard from about 65 of the S&P 500 companies, and 85% of them have beat on earnings. But we hear from some of the Mag 7 names this week, Google as well as Tesla. What are your expectations?
First of all, the financials did very well. They really did. Okay, even though sometimes earnings could come out great and the stock could get hit. They came out very strong. When you're looking at the Teslas and the Googles of the world, I expect for myself personally, Tesla could go a lot lower. All right, and I adore Elon Musk and his thought process of how brilliant it is. And Google is Google. I mean, they are, the biggest, one of the biggest guys on the block, and they're good at it. And they have really developed a lot of patient and growing businesses. Yeah, good. People don't realize that they're constantly growing their business in various ways globally. That's what the public needs to realize.
And Steve, you're joining me on this Monday morning, and we're looking at the S&P holding above that 6,300 level, and that is key. We're hearing from all sorts of organizations, whether they're research firms or financial firms, and they continue to raise their price target for the S&P 500 heading into the year end. So do you have a specific level that you're paying attention to?
Yeah, I'm looking over the next 60 to 90 days. Okay. We could retrace like 2%. But by the end of the year, I think we take out the highs. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, heard it here. I mean, that's what I believe.
Okay, Steve. Well, we will see where the S&P 500 ends up year end. I'm sure we'll talk before then. So thank you
Yes.
so much for joining
Thank
me.
you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great one. Take care.